What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, we know now that undefeated 3-division world champion, 2-division undisputed world champion, and the reigning unified welterweight world champion, superstar boxer, who is widely acknowledged and recognized as the #1 pound-for-pound best fighter in the world, Terence Bud Crawford. Terence Bud Crawford is 40 wins, no loss, no draw, 31 big wins by way of knockout, 36 years of age, 5'8" with a 74-inch arm reach. Terence Crawford just let the world know he has zero interest now in staging a rematch with his biggest rival, former unified 3-belt WBA, WBC, IBF welterweight world champion superstar boxer, Errol the Truth Spence Jr., who is now 28 wins, 1 loss, no draws, 22 big wins by way of knockout, 33 years of age, 5'9.5" with a 72-inch arm reach. He has zero interest in a rematch with Errol Spence Jr. after their highly anticipated July 29th Las Vegas, Nevada T-Mobile Arena showdown that saw Terence Crawford win in dominating fashion. And Terence Crawford stopped Errol Spence. He did the unthinkable. And it's just hard for many people to fathom that this fight played out in the way it played out, that he dropped Errol Spence in the second round, twice in the 7th round, and stopped him in the 9th round and battered him in between those rounds, right? And it's just hard for people to accept. But now it comes off as it's even got hard for Errol Spence to accept, after Errol Spence stated on the numerous occasions, "I'm not one to make up excuses. I'm not going to make up any excuses. Even if I had an excuse, I wouldn't tell you." That's what Errol Spence initially stated. Errol Spence has since changed his tune. And Errol Spence is now stating that, the reason essentially he lost this fight with Terence Bud Crawford is because Errol Spence suffers from, cataracts that he had to have corrected since he suffered that horrific car accident, October of 2019. Errol Spence also had a broken or detached retina that he had to have surgery on in 2021. And Errol Spence also stated that he suffered from a broken rib as well, right? So he's saying that he also had a broken rib, as well as, having cataract that he couldn't see out his eye, broken rib. And on top of that, he also had, injections in his side and wouldn't allow him, the injury wouldn't allow him to spar, right? And so because of that, he's citing that's the reason why he lost, essentially, right? Read between the lines. Terence Crawford simply is not happy with that, right? Because they're supposed to have an immediate rematch. And Terence Crawford, he ended up saying, you know something? I've heard it all from Errol Spence now, right? I've heard everything I possibly could hear, every excuse I possibly can receive from Errol Spence. And, I'm glad it's over and I'm moving on, right? And essentially now they're supposed to have an immediate rematch. We know that Errol Spence has the right to petition for an immediate rematch, right? And that, he petitioned, he activated, and he, his right to have an immediate rematch. I don't know the details in the time frame, again, for this immediate rematch, but it seems to have possibly run its course, right? And Terence Crawford now is looking at the situation where Errol Spence stated that he's been suffering from these cataracts from 3 years ago, which means these cataracts was hindering him before he fought Yordenis Ugas April 16th, AT&T Dallas Cowboys Stadium of 2022. But he dominated Yordenis Ugas, broke his ribs, nose, and orbital bone, won the fight in the unification bout, and then called out Terence Crawford. Now, here's the problem. If you had this eye injury and suffering from this, and you knew this was hindering you and your vision, and you called out Terence Crawford after the Yordenis Ugas fight, you said, I'm coming after Terence Crawford, before you even negotiated. That was your sole purpose for staying at 147. No more, no less, nobody else. Why didn't you have the corrective surgery at that point in time, before you even began negotiating, to clean that up so you wouldn't have that hindering you going into the Terence Crawford fight? No. He went into the Terence Crawford fight a year later, suffered from it, cited that he couldn't see Terence Crawford's jabs and hooks. That's why he got hit with so many of them, which was the main thing Terence Crawford used to win the fight, the jabs and the hooks. And after the fight, you still wait 6 months to get the corrective surgery. To January of 2024. Y'all fought in July of 2023. 6 months later. And the recovery period is 6 to 8 weeks, which is essentially 2 months. So now I'm sure that he had damage from the Crawford fight, that he had to wait for the swelling and the healing to go down. But it just didn't make sense, right? So now, on top of that, now Errol Spence is citing that he had a broken rib that didn't allow him to spar and properly prepare for a Terence Crawford rematch. And he had to get injections and wasn't approved to get the injections till a week before the fight. So Terence Crawford has had enough. And he said he heard every excuse from Errol Spence he could possibly hear. And now he's saying that he's moving on. And his sole focus now is attempting to land a showdown with 4-division world champion Mexican superstar boxer, who is currently the undisputed super middleweight world champion and widely acknowledged as the face of the sport of boxing, in Saul Canelo Alvarez. That's his goal, right? But how realistic is that he can land the Canelo Alvarez fight, who's 60 wins, 2 losses, 2 draws, 39 big wins by way of knockout? How realistic is that's going to happen? Because Canelo Alvarez has 2 more dates. Cinco de Mayo, which is May 4th of this year, and then the second week in September, Mexican Independence Day weekend. Terence Crawford is still going to have to stay active. So the question is, while you focus on that, what are you going to do until you get that fight? Well, common logic here is that you go into an undisputed showdown with the guy everybody's calling for you to fight. And that's undefeated, newly crowned IBF welterweight world champion, superstar boxer, the phenom, as I refer to him as, in Jaron Boots Ennis. Jaron Boots Ennis is 31 wins, no loss, no draw, 28 wins by way of knockout, 26 years of age, 5'10" with a 74-inch arm reach. Make that fight happen. If you're not going to fight Jaron Boots Ennis, fight Australian star, son of a legend, the WBO junior middleweight world champion, Tim Tszyu, right? In your next fight. Because Terence Crawford can make himself the mandatory for Tim Tszyu WBO title right now. And they'll give him the opportunity to fight Tim Tszyu right now. And Tim Tszyu will jump at the opportunity to fight Terence Crawford right now. Because that's a big, marquee, lucrative fight for Tim Tszyu. So it makes sense to go after Tim Tszyu or Jaron Boots Ennis in your next fight if you're Terence Crawford, en route to a Canelo Alvarez fight, right? And the reason I say that is because you have to entice Canelo Alvarez to take the fight. Another fight, another road he can take. So Tim Tszyu is 24 wins, no loss, no draw, 17 wins by way of knockout, 29 years of age, 5'8", with a 70-inch arm reach. The son of a legend, Costa Tszyu. He's been elevated to the WBO junior middleweight champion because the former undisputed champion, who's still the unified junior middleweight world champion, Jermell Charlo, had to vacate the title as he moved up there to be great to challenge Canelo Alvarez for Canelo Alvarez undisputed titles, undisputed versus undisputed. The WBO stripped Jamel Charlo elevated Tim Tszyu. The IBF stripped Terence Crawford and elevated Jerron Boots Ennis. Go after Tim Tszyu. You fight and beat Tim Tszyu. Jamel Charlo has a mandatory for the IBF. He fights and beats his mandatory. Then you fight and beat Jamel Charlo. You're undisputed in 3 separate weight classes. Period. So if I'm Terence Crawford, I cite and focus on Tim Tszyu, beating Tim Tszyu, focus on Jamel Charlo, beating Jamel Charlo, becoming undisputed in 3 separate weight classes. Now you would have just enticed Canelo Alvarez to make the fight happen. That should be his role. But that's all I got for y'all. Make sure you hit the like button. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue, Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notifications. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. That's all I got for y'all. I'm gone. Peace.